Hello, everybody. Sanibonani. Welcome to my channel. Kulaba abasha ke siyanimukela la isekhaya thatha sihlale uhlale phansi noma uthathe ucansi nje undlala uhlale phansi ngoba kumnandi la mawusuke wangena usafuna ukuthi ubuye uphume. Uma ngabe uyaqala kusijoyina namhlanje ungakhohlwa ukuthi usubscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell ukuze ukwazi ukuthi uma ngabe ngi-upload ama-videos amasha phela uthole i-notification ukuthi sesiwufakile umsebenzi omusha hambe uyobuka. Kule channel-ke siyaye sifunde iy'ncwadi zethu zesiZulu bese siza la sizoyixoxa lezo y'ndaba esuke siy'fundile siy'xoxela laba phela abanqenayo ukufunda nalaba phela abasuke bengenaso isikhathi sokuthi bafunde. Igama lami nguNtando Nomhete. Welcome again to my channel. Namhlanje-ke nje ngizokwenza ividiyo ethe ukuhluka kancane ngoba namhlanje ngisengibuka on YouTube I came across ividiyo ebikhuluma ngama-signs mhlampe kufanele kuwabheke enganeni uma ngabe ingane ususpect ukuthi mhlampe kungenzeka ukuthi has been sexually molested. So ngabona kuyi-information, a lot of the information they were talking about on this video bekuyi-information engiqalayo ukuyizwa and I thought ukuthi mhlampe nabanye abantu in my life abantu abayibuka i-channel yami, my family members, my friends, mhlawumbe kune-information nabo abangagain ukuthi bayizwe. So I decided to make this video. I will link the video inspire this video on my description and go and check out that video because some of the things engizozichaza la mhlawumbe mina ngizozichaza kahle. Just go back to that video nawe uyibuke. So I know ukuthi lento engizokhuluma ngayo it doesn't relate to the previous story esikade sesifundile, but if you remember there's a story that we did ebisibizwa ukuthi ngehlulekile where a father had sexually molested umntanakhe. So I felt like this is one of the issues esidlule kuzo nje sangagxila kakhulu kuzona ukuthi sikhulume ngazo, so it would be a good idea ukuthi ngiyenze le video. So nanka-ke ama-signs abathi enefanele kuwabuke enganeni mhlampe angakunika nje i-indication yokuthi kungenzeka ukuthi umntanakho is being sexually molested, but it doesn't mean ukuthi when they do these things for sure they are being sexually molested, but they could be ama-signs. Mhlawumbe uma ungekho sure ukuthi what's going on with umntanakho and you see one of those things, mhlambe investigator further and find out what's happening with your child. But one of the things that happens with ingane that have been sexually molested is that they display behaviors that are not age appropriate. Mhlambe ama-sexual behaviors athile that as umuntu omdala you can see ukuthi lo mntwana lona ekwi-age yakhe akufanele azi into ekanjena, akufanele mhlambe azi ukuthi khona into ekwenzeka kanjena ngomzimba wakhe, or mhlawumbe uzokhuluma izinto ezithile sexually that umntwana kwi-age yakhe angafanele ngabe expose kuzona and abehave ngendlela ethile, mhlawumbe nabanye abantwana mhlawumbe afuna ukubabamba ngendlela ethile abantwana adlala nabo noma afuna badlale ngendlela ethile sexually inappropriate. Kuthiwa fanele ukubheke lokho ukuthi ungavele nje ukhuza ingane uyithethise kuphele lapho ukuthi umntwana mayebehave kanjalo they've probably seen someone do something like that and ama-chances maningi ukuthi leyo nto leyo uyibone yenziwa kuyena, but since ewumntwana she's not able to decide and enze i-judgment ukuthi this is not something that is appropriate to do in front of abantu. So if you see a child behave in an inappropriate way sexually around abantu, because yena usuke engazi nokwazi ukuthi izinto sexual acts are not performed around abantu because akanayo leyo understanding. So kufanele as umzali or as an adult around that child to investigate further ukuthi uyithathaphi lento yenzayo, uyibone kuphi, ngoba maningi ama-chance ongathola ukuthi lo mntwana lo is being sexually molested. That's number one. But in number two, they usually have a fascination with their private parts or other people's private parts. So they are fascinated. Some children like touching themselves in their private parts, or bathinta abanye abantwana, or umntwana it will inappropriate to just touch you as an adult in your private parts, or uthanda ukukhuluma nje about sexual acts, or mayibona into ku-TV that has to do with sex, they like to talk about it. So bathi fanele ukunake lokho ukuthi kungenzeka ukuthi ukuthi abehave kanjalo ku-influence-wa ukuthi umntwana has been sexually molested. Bathi-ke kwesinye isikhathi umntwana uvele abe more clingy, like angafuni ukuthi asuke eduze kwakho as umzali or as an adult, afuna ukuhlezi nawe, mangicela ukulala nawe embhedeni, mawuhamba ekhaya ufuna nawe ukuhamba nawe, because as we know ukuthi abantwana, they are not only molested by strangers, sometimes they are molested in our homes, sometimes they are molested at school. So uthola ukuthi umntwana uclingy, akafuni ukuhlukana nawe as umzali, and la uya khona ufuna ukuya khona, la ulala khona ufuna ukulala khona. So naloko kuthiwa kufanele ukubheka ukuthi sometimes kusuke kukhuzwa ukuthi umntwana, something is happening ngalowo mntwana lowo, wena as umzali mhlampe awunakile, but bathi leyo nto leyo ibheke. So umntwana wakho mayibehave kanjalo kuwukuthi kade engekho clingy, but all of a sudden umntwana is very clingy, akasafuni ukusuka eduze kwakho. Ukuthi investigate as umzali ukuthi what's causing that change in behavior. Bathi futhi some changes that you can see emntwaneni ukuthi umntwana kade engasachami ebusuku nje mayelele, kodwa aqala ukuthi achame. As abantu abamnyama siyathanda-ke ukuthi abantwana siba-embarrass-e, uchamile yini, uzichameleleni? Or sometimes umntwana kuyenzeka ukuthi aye ethoyilethi, angayi ethoyilethi endlini encane, aye ethoyilethi ey'ngubeni zakhe, or achame, azichamele, or achame nje embhedeni. Ekade engasachami, bese ekhulile ubengasachami, but avele aqale ukuchamela umbhede. So bathi you must pay attention as umzali ukuthi something might be going on with umntwana. So check-a, buza kumntwana ukuthi has something like this happened to you? Has somebody touched you inappropriately? Thola, if you feel like kufanele umise kwi-counsel umntwana, enza lezo zinto ukuthi u-investigate ukuthi le behavior le esiqalile manje kade ingekho emntwaneni ayenziwa yini ukuthi mhlawumbe umntwana is being sexually molested. Khona okunye-ke abakushoyo ukuthi kwesinye isikhathi the drastic change in behavior might not only be negative but positive. Bathi omunye umntwana will drastically change ukuthi kade esikoleni engenzi kahle, and then avele now all of a sudden aphefome kahle esikoleni, useyaphasa, usefocusa, akasafuni ukuspenda isikhathi with her friends or with his friends. But leyo indication leyo inokubadeda abazali, ngoba umzali focuses on the fact that i-behavior yomntwana has changed positively, akhohlwe uku-question ukuthi what has caused that change. Because sometimes because abantwana when they are being molested, they don't know ukuthi what caused it, what is the reason ukuthi lowa muntu lowa chose to molest me out of all of the kids. So sometimes you can have that thing yokuthi umntwana thinks ukuthi it's because mhlampe they were misbehaving, that's why whatever happened to them. So afterwards, after that happens to them, it changes them. They feel like if I study hard and I do everything right and ekhaya ngihloniphe and everything, this will never happen to me. So sometimes a positive change can also be an indication that umntwana is being abused. But also it can happen negatively where umntwana was doing well at school, they were she or he was behaving ekhaya ehlonipha, all of a sudden akasalaleli, and esikoleni they do really bad, and uthola ukuthi mhlambe abanye umntwana uyeqa ekhaya, and abanye bathi avele aqale mhlawumbe uma umntwana wentombazane ukuthi athande abafana, alale nanomuphi umfana, same thing nabafana, and they get into sexual activities that they were not um, involved in before. But even that change now, or they get into drugs because they are trying to deal with emotions about feel like that they do not understand. So behavior can go both ways. Because of the molestation, they can change and start to behave excellent at school and ekhaya bahloniphe, bafuna ukwenza yonke into right because they feel like the reason that this happens to them is because they were not doing things right, or it can go the other way where they just feel like that they lose hope, so they do everything wrong that you can think of. Babekuhlaza nasekhaya umntana aphendulane nabazali bakhe as if mhlawumbe i-fault yabo abazali bakhe. All that they're trying to communicate is to say something happened to me, can something do something about it without having to say it. So mawubona lawo ma-changes emntwaneni as umzali, do something about it. Make sure that it's not because umntanakho is being molested. Kuthiwa futhi sikubheke ukuthi sometimes they do try and commit suicide. A lot of the times, umntwana uma ngabe ezamile ukuy'bulala, mhlampe wa-attempt-a and they were not successful in that, mhlampe wahanjiswa esibhedlela, uma ebuya nje uyathethiswa, especially thina abantu abamnyama uyathethiswa ukuthi uy'bulalelani nje ngempela, kufike ney'hlobo lana, uyathethiswa. And not a lot of time is spent trying to figure out why did you try and commit suicide. There is something sometimes, they do say ukuthi abantwana babezama ukucommit suicide, it's not that they want to die. They're trying to commit suicide because they can't deal with something. They can't deal with the pain. They can't deal with the emotions. They can't deal with whatever event that happened to them. And it's hard for them to communicate. They're not able to communicate what happened to them. They're not able to communicate what kind of help they need. So they feel like they want to escape life. So it's more about escaping. It's not that they don't want to live, but they don't want to live with the circumstances that they are living under. So if your child has attempted suicide, uh, try and find out why, because it's important to know the reason, because then you won't be able to help them so that they don't attempt suicide again. And they do say that when a child attempts suicide, the more they attempt it. If they attempt it once, and then the second time, and then the third time, so the more they keep attempting, the more likely it's like the death becomes closer, because one day they're going to be successful. So it's very good if you find out that first time that they've tried to commit suicide, try and find out, is molestation or sexual abuse not one of the reasons that they try to commit suicide. Of course, when it comes to suicide, there could be so many reasons that a child will try and commit suicide, but in this case, since we're talking about sexual molestation, they do say that sometimes they can try and commit suicide. So those are some of the signs that I thought I would share with you, because as I'm a parent, sometimes we do not know what to look for, especially if ingane doesn't come to you and say, "Mom, this is what happened to me." We don't know what to look for. And when kids are teenagers, really, so we're seeing expectation then they're going to change, because behavior yabo vele iyashintsha, indlela abenza ngayo izinto iyashintsha, sometimes vele they are rebellious. So but it's important for us to know that some of these things, it's not just them being teenagers. Sometimes, some of these things is because they're going through something that they are not able, they don't have the language or the words to express it to us, to say this is what happened to me. And they also don't know our reaction. They do not know how we are going to react to them telling us what happened to them. Also, sometimes all a child needs is for you to say what is wrong. What happened? Do you need help? Do you need us to see somebody if they're not comfortable telling you? But let's be aware that these things are happening to our children, and it's not all the time that they're going to come to us and tell us voluntarily. Sometimes we have to look at the sign. You have to know your child, and you have to know them once they change their behavior, and you have to make sure that when the behavior changes, it's not because they're going through something that is very important for you as a parent. Thank you so much for watching my video. Ngizonibona futhi kwivideo yami elandelayo. Ngithanda kakhulu.